Hi everyone and welcome, this is the Apostate Prophet. I have been very inactive in the last 2 weeks. That's because I had a few problems and I'm sick, as you might hear out of my voice. But I'm here again and I will be continuing this work because we have a lot of work to do. And since I have seen a lot of censorship online, especially here on YouTube recently, I want to increase my bluntness and my criticism of Islam even more. I want to talk about a specific phrase that you hear very often from moderate Muslim apologists. If you're hearing and reading a lot about Islam, you might have heard the phrase a lot. There is no compulsion in religion. I'm sure almost everyone who's watching this video knows what I'm talking about. This phrase is very often brought up by people, very often in a wrong way, without even knowing their religion properly, and in the next moment they want to accuse you of taking things out of context and being Islamophobic. The phrase comes from the Quran, in chapter 2, verse 256. It goes, "There is no compulsion in religion. The right course has become clear from the wrong. So whoever disbelieves in falsehood and believes in Allah has grasped the most trustworthy handhold with no break in it, and Allah is hearing and knowing." Some present it as "let there be no compulsion in religion," but which comes from the use of Ali translation of the Quran. But "there shall be no" or "there is no compulsion" is a more accurate translation of the verse. That's what the Quran says. But what moderate Muslim apologists want to say with this phrase is that everyone is free under Islam to practice their own religion, and they can believe whatever they want to believe. No one can be forced into Islam. No one can be fought because of their disbelief. And some even bring it to the extent that there is no killing of apostates in Islam because there is no compulsion in Islam. All of these things are either completely or partially false and taken out of context. Now, I want to stay fair, but I want to make 2 points in advance about this Quran verse. The first point is that this Quran verse was revealed at a much earlier time than later verses like the sword verse that order to fight the non-Muslims wherever you find them. It was also most likely revealed long before verse 29 in chapter 9, where the Quran orders the Muslims to fight all those who don't believe in Islam and to force the jizya on them. This is an important point because if you are familiar with Islamic theology, you should know that if some Quran verses contradict each other in any way, the verse that was revealed later is more valid. The Quran makes that very clear. The second point is that many scholars, even very important ones like Ibn Kathir, said that a large number of verses, including the no compulsion verse, have either been partially or completely abrogated and practically replaced by the order of fighting them. The view that the no compulsion verse has been completely abrogated is rather a very traditionalist view, but the view that it has been partially abrogated is a rather mainstream Islamic view. It only makes sense to think that the no compulsion verse has been at least partially abrogated, because there is a specific ruling in Islam that we all know by now. The dhimmi system and the jizya. It always feels so dirty saying this word and it reminds me of the smell of... Never mind. I have explained the dhimmi system and the jizya before in another video, but to summarize it very quickly. Dhimmi refers to non-Muslim communities under Islam, because there is no such thing as equality in Islam. While the jizya refers to protection money, yes, protection money, taken from non-Muslims under Islamic rule. We see clearly in Islamic scripture and history that Muslims are obligated to fight the non-believers and to spread Islam by campaigns. When Muslims confront non-Muslim people in the cause of expanding Islam, they are obligated to give the non-Muslims 3 choices. 1. Convert to Islam and there will be no fighting. 2. Pay the jizya and you will be subjected under Islamic rule as a lesser people. And, well, die. If the non-Muslim group refuses to convert to Islam or to come under Islamic rule and pay protection money, they will be fought. During this battle they can still give up and can either convert to Islam or become subjugated. This rule is based on Quran chapter 9 verse 29, which was revealed in Muhammad's last times. And it is also clearly outlined in Muhammad's words, where he also tells the Muslims to fight in the name of Allah, in the way of Allah, and fight against those who disbelieve in Allah. It's very clear. This comes to no surprise, because in another hadith, Muhammad said very clearly, "I have been ordered to fight the people till they say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah." And later in this hadith, it is also made clear, again, for all those who have doubts, that one has only the same rights and obligations of a Muslim if he becomes a Muslim. As you can see in this clearly detailed and explained Islamic rule, the words "there is no compulsion in religion" are not a promise of peace. There is no promise of peace in Islam. According to major Islamic scholars like Ibn Kathir, no compulsion in religion means that you can't go to an individual and at gunpoint force him to become a Muslim. But Islamic texts make a difference between individuals and the tribes or nations they belong to. No compulsion in religion does not mean that Muslims can't fight non-Muslims and subjugate them. If that was the case, Muslims wouldn't be able to spread Islam. And if you are familiar with history, you should know that from Muhammad to the Ottomans, caliphates used warfare to spread Islam, to fight non-Muslims and either convert them to Islam or to force them to pay the jizya and be unequal under the Islamic system. For example, this is the early spread of Islam. Only an idiot would believe all the nations in the way of this expansion just gave flowers to the Muslims and said, "Come, please, take our land." This was also made clear by later historian and respected Islamic scholar Ibn Khaldun, who wrote in his masterpiece Muqaddimah the following words: "In the Muslim community, the holy war is a religious duty because of the universalism of the Muslim mission and the obligation to convert everybody to Islam, either by persuasion or by force. Therefore, caliphate and royal authority are united in Islam, so that the person in charge can devote the available strength to both of them at the same time." As you can see, a Muslim, a historian, an Islamic scholar casually explains that in an Islamic system, the ruler controls the course of state and religion and uses the force to spread Islam by the sword. Ibn Khaldun is a very respected historian of Islam, and he lived in the 14th century. He had seen a lot of caliphates before he wrote that. I have talked about the dhimmi system applied to non-Muslims under Islamic rule before, and I talked about the jizya. In both cases, I explained that non-Muslims and Muslims don't have equal rights under Islam. What's also important to note is that under Muhammad, the dhimmi system and the jizya were only applied to Christians, Jews, Sabians, and later to Zoroastrians. That's why fundamentalist Muslims view the dhimmi system and the jizya to be applied only to those groups. Other groups can be fought and killed without having such an option. Convert to Islam or die. So early Muslim caliphates did indeed forcibly convert non-Muslims, or exiled or enslaved them. Forcibly converting here means that the opponents didn't have any choice but convert to Islam or die. And sorry, but that's the definition of forcible conversion. And Muslims did that, and that didn't make them non-Muslims or not real Muslims. Many fundamentalist Muslims of our time that form large groups in specific regions have the view that non-Muslims besides Jews and Christians can be fought and killed. The fate of Jews and Christians is not much different. They can be fought and killed until they accept to be subjugated by Islam. That's exactly what the Islamic text preaches. That's within the limits of Islamic theology, and it doesn't make you a non-Muslim. As you can see, no compulsion in religion does not mean that everyone is free to practice their own religion freely. That was never the case until the Muslim world started to be westernized and modernized by force. One last point that I want to make is that the killing of apostates in Islam is in no way a contradiction to no compulsion in religion, although moderate Muslims want to tell you so. No compulsion in Islam refers to the part of accepting Islam, of getting into Islam. It has nothing to do with renouncing and abandoning Islam. The vast majority of Islamic scholars in history agree that apostates deserve to be killed. And that's very clear in multiple hadith, reported as directly spoken by Muhammad, the Prophet. To make it very short, you, as a non-Muslim, can't be approached individually and forced to convert to Islam. Under Islamic rule, you can still be given the choice to be a slave to Muslims. But once you become a Muslim, you have to stay a Muslim. Otherwise, you will feel the mercy of Islam warmly separating your head from the rest of your body. Narrated by Abdullah, Allah's Messenger said, "The blood of a Muslim who confesses that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that I am his apostle, cannot be shed except in 3 cases. In retaliation for murder, a married person who commits illegal sexual intercourse, and the one who reverts from Islam and leaves the Muslims." Very clear, right? So, to summarize it, you can't forcibly convert an individual to Islam, but you can fight them. You can fight and kill them so they don't have any option but convert to Islam. You can subjugate religious groups, take protection money, and treat them like dirt. If they want to join Islam consequently, they can't leave Islam anymore. Sincerely, Religion of Peace. This is why we need to go away from Islam as far as possible. And that's why we need to inform people about what Islam really is. And we need to work together in this, so that no Islamic rule can be allowed near anywhere we live. No revival of Islam, no Islamic influence at all. We need to uphold a world of freedom, not a world of darkness in which Islam decides how you live your life, or if you live a life at all. It is 2018. We don't need Islam, just the way we don't need slavery and human sacrifice. Thanks for watching. Before I let you go, I have recently launched my German channel where I will release videos entirely in German, and the first video is already there. So for all German speakers, that's where we can spread the message. The link is below in the description and the comment section. Another announcement that I want to make is that I will be on David Wood's channel for an interview tomorrow. For those who haven't seen it, he was on my channel yesterday. So make sure to join us tomorrow on his channel. If you want to support my cause, you can support me on Patreon with rewards in return. The link is below in the description. Thank you all so much for any kind of support. Have a great weekend. Please protect your values and your freedom. Stay away from Islam.